How are y'all doing tonight? Are you ready?
Are you kidding me?
Get comfortable, folks. You're in for a real show. And now, broadcasting live across the nation, we proudly present to you
Forget it. I'm here. Hi, how you doing, everybody? Those of you that weren't aware that my website was down earlier today, it was down. It was down. It was down. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to. There's a lot of stress going on over here. Anyways, hope your coffee's good and strong, because I might have to pull an all Brandon or, hey guys, how are you? Lynn, we got to get caught up, kid. Yeah, it is cutting in and out. I hope you. How do I sound now? Do I sound okay? Hey, Allie. Hey, Trish. Hey, guys, how are you? Sabrina. Yeah, so Portland is on the radar, everybody. We're pushing some things. Lynn and I are going to do a show together. She just doesn't know that yet. By the way, if you were in Conscious Becoming, then you met Lynn. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's where you get all her great. So follow Lynn Tunes, will you? Had a funeral for a friend's mother. It was beautiful. It was all of the same songs. That was my mom's funeral. That went well. Portland, Oregon. Hey, Trish, how are you? Trish is like, but I got good news. I forwarded 2 other locations. Atlanta, I will see you in April. Early April. Late April. Hang on. Portland. Hey, Shar, how are you? How is any of this good? Of course it's frozen. Lady Ann, only 30 minutes from where? Which one of the things that I'm talking about here? Because I'm getting out there a little bit differently. I also have in the works Austin, Texas. I'll be back to there. See our old friends down there in Texas. And then we have our I have a couple of other surprises, but you're going to want to go to tbrandonruss.com, sign up for the email list. I really only send out a few emails a month. I don't bombard. I am going to prepare one. I'm going to send one out this week. I thought I was going to send one out saying, hey, I have all this availability for things, but I don't. In a good way. Oh, Lady Ann, that's wonderful. I'm hoping to get Jim to drive up to, because he's in Northern California. I know Jim will show up at some point. I'm going to reach out to him too and make sure we're putting the band back together. But it's Eclipse season, everybody. What are you doing for the Eclipse? What are you wearing for the Eclipse this year? I mean, this is Eclipse Eve. And by the way, the Eclipse is like early in the morning tomorrow. Like, so you can get up early and go outside and not see it because it's nowhere near you. It's going over the Antarctic. Rachel, thank you for following me. I'm over on TikTok. That was a mess. Right? I'm wearing nothing. Well, it's Brandon After Dark. Hi, everybody. So, by the way, I'm totally going to treat this like I'm on TikTok because TikTok doesn't like engage people. They just do their shit and they're like, we're broadcasting. Yeah, give me your donation money. Click on the link below. Don't do that. By the way, professionals don't have to do that. This is truly like connecting with people. Like that's what I want to do. And by the way, I do not. I am not going to. I'm not going to have the 2 camera setup tonight. I just with all the other technology stuff. And listen, I've got one more freeze in me. If 2 happens, I'm just going to throw this thing. By the way, have you noticed that like all of the networks are slow today? Have you noticed that all of your internet connections, your phone, I've done the reboots. Have you noticed that there's kind of like technology disruption? Well, a couple of things. You got Mercury retrograde. This is like one of the busiest months astrologically. You got the eclipse tomorrow, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about here for a minute. The water snake is dying. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of part of it. But we're also kind of getting prepared for a whole bunch of interjections here. We're going to have a real energetic boost, and we've already felt it. Like if you're sensitive to it, you're already feeling the Neptune Saturn conjunct, right? Boom, that's like in your face. You've got Mercury going to go retrograde. You've got this eclipse coming. And what are, yeah, so TVs, yeah, I totally called that. Totally called that. A lot of these, yeah, Trish, that's another thing. They're demanding that I do ads during my live because I've got a certain amount of people on and that sort of thing. That's the other thing. I'm like arguing with it. You know, like that's not my choice. You know, usually during the live, I'm like footloose and fancy free. You know, and this emotional tie stuff that you might be feeling. Listen, this Aquarian energy that's going to be coming in is absolutely, it's astonishing. I mean, we're living, you know, I'm worried about the superlatives because a certain orange person made the superlatives like mean nothing. But one of the things that are like absolutely coming in is that this is just an amazing time to be alive, guys. It just is. Astrologically, we are going to see such shifts. And you're already seeing it. I mean, Pam Bondi is just a douche hat. Like I can't even like. And to her credit, and I'm about to give her credit, and some of you are going to be like, Brandon, don't. I'm going to. She doesn't know what she's doing on purpose. Like it's idiot savants, right? We're going to talk about Nancy here in a second. I'm going to say this officially. What's going on with Nancy Guthrie has a very simple. They're going to say a very simple statement. This is what it was. I have never thought that this was a family. I've never thought that this had anything to do with like a disgruntled brother, you know, son-in-law or anything else. By all intents and purposes, I think families are weird, but you really have to be wired incorrectly, right? To have that happen. Back on Pam Bondi for a second. We're going to talk about Nancy Guthrie thing here in a second. Hold on a second. I'm booking another gig, I think. She even on there? Hello, how are you? Yeah, guys, I'm going to figure out how to change it. I can't fix it. I cannot. Hold on one second. Oh. Hold on. Please hold. Your ads have gone away. I just made less money, and that's okay. I'll split the nickel with you. Yeah, no, it just popped up and it said some of your constituents are complaining about the ads. You want to shut them off? Fucking yeah! Give me that option to begin with. By the way, I turn on the ads afterwards. So a little bonus if you tune in when I jump on, even though you have no idea when I'm going to jump on. But it's so anyways, Savannah Guthrie over here. Let's talk about what's going on in the White House right now. You've got a couple of things that are 100% kind of like sideways, right? You have got more than a fighter's chance to get most of the stuff out. And by the way, if you do not have a strong constitution, do not look at anything in the Epstein files and actually shut your feed down on Epstein files. It's bad. It is really bad. Um, Hold on. Issues. You guys are going to like what I'm about to announce. So understand that part of the curtail of corruption is just willing, ignorant cosplayers. And by the way, guys, I'm going to say this and I might burst some bubbles. This goes back to the Biden administration. This goes back to the Obama administration. This goes back to the Bush administration. This goes back to the Clinton administration, and arguably even back to the Bush 1 administration. They have known about these files. They have known about this level of corruption. They have known that Epstein is directly involved with more than one. I'm going to use the word deep state, but I hate that phrasing. As operatives for Mossad, for operatives for virtually any country that would pay him. Some of the most disturbing things, and again, I'm not going to get into pictures and I'm not going to get to whatever. First of all, we have to realize, though, that there's a distinction between being in the Epstein files and doing criminal activity in the Epstein files. And I'll give you a great example of this. Bill Gates is a slippery, slimy motherfucker. And it's not just because he's, Melinda's take on this. I mean, understand when people go through that together, there's stuff that happens, there's reasons, there's whatever. It was the seediness in which he was kind of like, can I administer penicillin without her knowing? Fucking idiot. Like, what's wrong with you? Have a real conversation, be a man for 20 minutes. That part aside, it is the 2015, or maybe it was 16, email between Epstein and Bill that basically said, I really hope that this pandemic thing gets legs. We're going to make a lot of money. Four full years before the pandemic hit. Guys, this is social engineering. We're getting fed to it through our social media because it's a control tactic. We are getting manipulated. We are getting, if they're willing to create a cash cow with vaccines, they're going to create cash cows for other things we want or need. It is deceptively it goes that long again. Hold on. It completely kicked me off. Like the internet just keeps freezing up. Come on, guys. You got one job. And again, this is another one of these things that, of course, I can't help but go conspiracy theory on this. I can't help but think that they're like, let's see if they can do their lives without a little internet. See if they rely on us now, bitches. And then you're just like, come on, guys. Come on. Yep. I don't. Yeah, right. I'm not talking too much. I'm saying the right words. And by the way, I am going to stand behind everything else. Donald Trump is leaving the country. I'm standing behind every single ounce of that statement. So the thing that we really have to, and again, the children stuff is abhorrent. However, it's actually the distraction. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm not minimizing people that have been hurt. They deserve justice and they deserve peace. As someone that covered the, I'm going to call them Catholic astrologies or Catholic atrocities rather. I will tell you it is horrible. And I will also tell you this isn't going to go well for anybody involved. But, and again, understand that I'm saying this with the heaviest of heart. The abuse of the children is actually the distraction. We have to begin to accept and understand the key principal players in world socioeconomic and political landscapes were 100% compromised by Jeffrey Epstein on many, many levels. These are everybody from oligarchs to politicians to, and it's funny because you would think the musicians would have kind of had a level of like, they would have been involved. And we really have, just because somebody's in the Epstein files does not mean that they did something bad. Here's the great example. They're listed as being in the Epstein files if there is something attached to them. In other words, if you say that you're at the Jets Dolphins game to Jeffrey Epstein, Woody Johnson, who's the owner of the Jets, is now in the Epstein files because there's another email with Jeffrey Epstein inviting Woody to the island or to an event in New York or something. And he might not have, likely didn't accept it or whatever the case may be. And it's not about Woody Johnson, but we really have to be really discerning with this. I want the sick puppies taken out back. That's what I really want. But we also have to recognize that you have these power brokers that now somewhat, there is a smoking thread. I'm not going to call it a gun. I'm going to call it a smoking thread that somebody was engineering a pandemic. And why do you generate a pandemic? Well, because your vaccines are there. Well, guess what? Bill was right in front and center with that, wasn't he? Then you have to deal with the amount of synthetic nature of the shit they put in our body. Not mine, of course. I avoided that. You guys know my vaccine story, right? My pandemic, my coronavirus avoidance, right? I went to go get the shot. I finally bit the bullet. I'm like, yeah, I'll go get the shot. Had to clear out 2 days, go there. 2 cars ahead of me, because this is when you drove up and they just, the drive up and the sticky and send you. They ran out of vaccine. And then I'm like, I can't carve out 2 days like that again. So I'm like, I guess I'll do the 1 day, the one shot, the Johnson & Johnson. So as I was driving to go get the Johnson & Johnson shot, they pulled it from the shelf. I think Spirit was looking out for me. That's just me. Hey, Aaron, how are you? And, it's an interesting dynamic that we have, that people are questioning it. And then, how do they use it? They use social engineering. They made you feel guilty. They said it was a public health concern. Realistically, the people that needed vaccines, the people that need booster shots. The people that need yearly shots are people that are compromised, not healthy people. The amount of heart attacks by healthy people in the middle of their sports, training, or otherwise events is up over 18,000% since before the pandemic. So there's some shit in there. Maybe intended consequences, but probably not. See, I think even the most evil doers are still idiots. I really do. I think the unintended consequences of things are greater than the things that they're doing. Right? The unintended consequence of thinking that you're sitting with a power broker is that you're working with a known pedo that you're somehow going to get linked to and eventually ruin your career. And by the way, Europe, of course, is reacting 100% to this, and they're bringing people up on charges. They are, oh, and by the way, they're asking for international disclosure. Now you're fucked, everybody, because Trump controls the DOJ. He don't control the Hague. And by the way, why don't you have Pete Hegseth stop by, because he's going to get blown up too with us. He just is. They're gonna bring him in, and they're gonna go, we don't even know what to charge you with, but we're gonna keep you until we figure it out. Right? Oh my gosh, Linda, I'm actually happy of that for you. I was dead set against it. But I also, one of them has some challenges with some allergens that if he gets sick, he had RSV when he was a baby. So he's got some compromise. Like, that's the category I'm talking about. My dad at what is he now? 102? I think Nate's 102. 103. I forget. He was here during the Roosevelt administration. Anyways, so inside joke, everybody. Our elderly, absolutely, 100%. Like, we should be vaccinating. We should be doing that, but we shouldn't be doing such a mass churn and burn, right? Right? Oh my God, oregano. And by the way, I have a couple more announcements that I'm going to be doing some things here. I'm going to be doing a retreat. I'm going to be doing a sound healing retreat in upstate New York. We're going to get those details. Maybe. Yes. So let's talk about the Guthrie thing. Yeah, and again, I mean, Phoenix, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? And notice too, last thought here on the Epstein shit. They're trying to confuse everything. It's the only thing they got left. Incompetence, right? And listen, in the dialogue, and by the way, is anybody still getting ads? Oh wow. Some people got it even after that. Ooh, respirator. Ooh. Hope you guys aren't getting ads anymore. So okay, cool. Thanks, Trish. So that's one of the conversations that we have to have, like known competence. I mean, when all of us were sitting there going, really, Linda McMahon for the education department, it's because they literally want you to be fooled. They want to have idiot savants in place that none of them, I mean, Howard Lutnick for the Commerce Secretary is he's a shitty choice and he's a shitty human. Do you know why? He took his entire family, including his 2 teenage daughters, to the Epstein Island for lunch. Quite the family man right there. It's a thing. Nancy Guthrie. They are going to announce that there will be facts in the case that will seem very pedestrian and very kind of non-prototypical, right? And watch this, because they're going to do this in such a way that they truly want. I have no problem saying this because I'm just done with the systematic stuff here. I have been told to stand down twice in my mediumship / world career thing with connections and whatever. And Nancy Guthrie was one of them. Why would a missing persons case, why would you tell a medium that you're doing a national search and pleading and begging for information and release? Why would you just and by the way, I didn't ask. It wasn't like I was throwing my hat into the ring. It wasn't like I was like, hey, you know what I'm getting? No, none of it. I didn't ask. I wasn't even involved. And what was interesting was we will not be, and it was very clear, it was, we are not looking for resources right now, which is asset resources, which is what you're called in this. And is very specific to say, don't be involved with this. Now, I also get and understand what they're going to hide behind is the idea that they don't want to muddy the waters, because everybody and their brother, I mean, if you look over on TikTok, this is the shit over there. I love those guys. I really do. I have some good people. There are some good people on TikTok. But the assholes that are sitting there going, you know what I'm getting? She's in a dark place right now. That's all I'm getting right now. I just, please donate. Got to cut that stuff off at the legs, guys. And I'm not going to weigh in on what I think. That's not fair to her. But where I do think that they're going to go with this, the public strategy of this, that's a good word there, Lynn. Maybe they were saying it to people that had social media, that we want to keep this off of social media, we want to flush it out. So a lot of times, by the time you start to say, if a case has a situation and they say, we're asking the public for help, that's known as a flush out. In other words, we're asking if you've seen anything, and we have kind of a guy with shades on and a hat, and if anybody can identify, this Rico Suave guy, if there's, if you can come forth with any information. And typically the reason why they do that is because they want to put pressure on them to be like, eventually somebody's going to say it. We hope that this picture is good enough that somebody is going to go, I knew a mother effer like that. My ex-roommate used to try on masks like that all the time. And he said, you know what I really want to do? I want to get away with, and they had a weird obsession with, Guthrie when she got on the Today Show. He used to stay up till 9 o'clock in the morning just to watch her. Stay up all night. You understand where I'm going with this, right? This is what I do want to talk about. And thank you so much. Is it Petra? Oh, Petra Core Sound. So the sound of rain? Is that what your name means? I love that. Or is this Earth Sounds? Either way, I love that name. So there's a couple of things to take into consideration here. One, the fact that there were cameras available, and that there was somebody that kind of had some familiarity with it. So they either gained information, or here's kind of a dirty secret in all of what goes on in surveillance. Someone could tap into that, especially if you have a smart. Oh, coulda. I love that. But what does the Petrichor name mean? I love it. Here's the dirty thing. Like, if you have a smart light that you turn on with your phone, if you have, control your lights and blah, 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 everything is hackable now. Everything is hackable. So you could get into the camera. And by the way, I unplug my camera at night just because. Or if I'm not online, I unplug it. So if I ever come on and you guys can hear me and you can't see me, it's because I unplug my camera. And again, I'm not paranoid about it, but come on. Like there's rules of engagement, and I have nothing to hide, but I also have nothing to promote without my knowledge. If that makes sense. That's how you keep your spiritual sovereignty. You work alone and you work in the quiet. Yeah, we've been very hackable for years. So there's ways around it. That's why I won't do the full on, diving into, technology and letting technology rule everything. No, actually, I think you'd be surprised what their threshold is. You'd be surprised. I don't have a good feeling about the intention of Nancy Guthrie, and I'll explain my words. I think that she had I think that these people plotted. I think she was targeted. And the key thing with Savannah doing the last known interview of an Epstein victim, I'm going to tell you why it's disturbing. The interview you saw wasn't the interview she gave. And that I will not say her word. I will not say her name. I will not say her. I will not say the victims' names. And again, I think that the victims should be in control of saying their own names. Is that fair? I think that's fair. That makes sense. Earthy. Yeah, I love that. I was close. I love that. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You'll always be shoulda, coulda, woulda. I also think that you're going to find that there's tentacles attached to this, much in the same way that you found tentacles in the Kirk shooting. Just like you saw the tentacles in the assassination attempt. That ear looks fucking good, doesn't it? And then you're called delusional. I think the delusional Trump stuff, what is it? Trump derangement syndrome? I think we're beginning to realize that it's actually the people that followed Trump. Yeah, remember when the bullet, the 38 millimeter bullet that whizzed by his ear that literally blows up flesh and bone, will destroy it on impact to unrecognizable amounts. That just happened to whiz by his ear and only clip it. I think his wife was bought and paid for in the first 72 hours. I don't think she said, kill my husband. I think that she got pulled in. I'm wheeling and dealing. Sorry. Yeah, totally. Butler. Correct. A week before the RNC, so he wasn't going to get challenged. So he was going to be a tough guy. Fight. I walked into a home party. By the way, I have to take it at Palo Santo as I talk about this. Yeah, 100%. So I walked in and they have, and by the way, I am capable of reading anybody. I don't care what your politics are, because when in the dark, we're all the same. right? Once our spirit goes, once our flesh is whatever, when I get to the soul stuff, whatever. But when I walked in, literally, it was this 24 by 36 picture of Trump doing this after the alleged shooting. Yeah, Rachel, some of it's me. Some of it is I'm pausing a little bit. And when I walked in and I saw that, and I kind of went, this is going to be a fun night. And I mean, this happened right after this is right after it happened. So I think that happened in August, and I think in like September, October is when this guy did it. But I want to say I want to share this. I thought some of the messages that came through, there were some ants and whatever, and the guy who was downstairs, chewing his jaw, hanging out with his boys, watching whatever. He comes up, he's like looking at me, he's like, with what you do, it's what I do. Oh. And then he like looks over at the picture as if to be like, I've seen your channel. All intimidating. And I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, I see that you have put your worship of a person, of a politician ahead of your family. I hope I'm able to read everyone. And I did. And as much as, Grandpa Joe was all about, we got to do, we got to take care of all these people from these other countries. We got to pick them up. We got to put them on a boat. We got to send them. All right, Grandpa Joe, thanks for chiming in. 1932 has long been since over. Finish your moonshine and see yourself out. And what I realized was that it wasn't, what I'm about to say is pretty profound. I think that there were plenty of, and again, my clientele is 92% women. And the room was nothing but women. The men were downstairs watching NASCAR, spitting into spittoons with a Trump picture of celebration. It's funny, you should get a picture of the inauguration numbers. But anyways, by the end of the night, I came up with a couple of conclusions. Number one, and honestly, I thought I was going to have a hard time with it. I didn't. Because, I'm a pro. Something about that. But number two, and probably more importantly, I started to realize that the women that were attached to the men that were spitting into their spittoons and spending $300 on a wall canvas-sized picture of a fake reenactment, were somehow trapped in their relationship, and anything that they were saying or doing to support it was fake, because they're in survival mode, because that's how abusers work. Oops, I have infiltrated the system. So as much as some of them may have had core values of certain things, I guess what my point is that they were 100% willing to bite the bullet on Trump so that then they would just have peace in their life, because otherwise it would have been exactly. So I think that even his numbers are not real. Everything about Trump is fake. His voters, his numbers, his support, his constitution. And again, I'm watching people make a ton of money on videos about how he shit himself in the middle of a press conference. Give the man some dignity, sort of. I guess. He doesn't deserve it, but whatever. On the other side of it, it's, your entire platform was how Joe Biden was older than dirt. Like, ugh, guys, they are the most tone deaf people ever. I saw somebody post today that, in the middle of it, in the middle of all of this is, that's coming out here with the Epstein files and everything else, they literally had the balls, and I do mean the balls, to post that immigrants really need to have a photo ID. There are exactly 7 states in which case most of them only have 3 or 4 precincts where you don't have to say anything except for your name and be right. By the way, they do a verification when every time I voted. Hey, Brandon, how are you? Guess what? I know the people. Hey, Brandon, how you been? Not too bad. How's your mom doing? Not bad. Hey, all right, cool. Here to vote today. All right, Brandon, still just making sure you're up and up and up and up on a street. Yep, I sure am. Okay, you're in the right place. That's your verification. And by the way, if they didn't know me, they would have been, do you have something to show you? Make sure the name matches the face. So anyways, this dude posts this. And my exact response was, he's in the files 1,000,000 times. It's funny. You want immigrants to show proof of citizenship? I'd like Trump's victims to show proof of age. Well, if you don't ask, then you can just assume for the worst. Oh, yeah, totally. So here's my announcement. I'm going to go ahead and announce it even. I think I've got it all worked out here. Sorry. Isn't this what they do on TikTok? They just make you sit there. They're not like continuously entertaining. I am going to be doing a sound healing at the Coast Public Library for my birthday on February 28th. It's free. Bring the kids, bring a mat, bring fun. If you're in the Greater Capital District, it's worth the drive. You just got the thumbs up for that one. Yeah, I think we're good. By the way, if you've never been to any of my sound events, it's a thing. It's a thing. And by the way, this sound healing will be completely in Spanish. You'll be honoring our Latin brothers and sisters. We'll be doing 3-2 clave through the whole thing. Did you not dance during the Super Bowl halftime show? I got like every other 15th word. Like every other 15th word. Balls, I tell you, balls. And it's like they've just got to piss in the Cheerios, don't they? We're going to have a real American one with shitty lip syncing. And, I think it's funny that the guy that they put out there to say, we're going to have an English only, event, and God bless America, and bow to the bow, diggy, 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 bow to down, but dow, dig. He sounds moronic. And by the way, I'm not mad at that. Good for him. You just made gibberish a hit. Right? I mean, there's brilliance in nonsense sometimes. I get it. But that man stood up for an entire, completely forgotten segment of who we are as a country. And it's Puerto Ricans. It is Latin America. It's funny. One of the battle lines in this is Florida. And my observation, which, by the way, I will be in Palm Harbor which is kind of northwest of Tampa, Clearwater. I'm right on the water. I kind of like it that way. It's beautiful. Also, I get to go up to Tarpon Springs and have the best food ever from that Greek diner. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to be there on March the 5th. And then on March 7th, I'm going to hightail it down the highway down to Port Charlotte, the greater Punta Gorda area. And I'm going to be doing a show there on that Saturday. My dad's going to be in tow. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. But one of the things that I've observed in Florida over the years is how they're willing to fight anybody that's not homogenous. And it's insane because there's people from all over the country, and they can talk about not having taxes all you want out of New York State, but if you're moving to Florida, you're sort of a racist. If you're not over 60, you're sort of a racist. And yeah, I'm gonna stick to that. If there's not a family reason to be there or pure retirement, you're kind of sort of a racist. Where you're like, yeah, we didn't really know anybody when we wanted to go down to Gatorville. Well, let me tell you something. The things that I saw and witnessed I was easily assimilated. You know, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah, okay. Gray hair, blue eyes, paging Dr. Freud. I'm going to the Minnesota Twins game this year. So my dad and I are going to see the Twins take on the Yankees when we land. I used to have a dual hat somewhere. The front was the Twins, the back was the Yankees. Anyways, I digress. Correct. And Puerto Rico is 100% a U.S. And by the way, remember when they went for statehood? They tried to get statehood in the early 90s. And it was Clinton that said, we can't have 51. Okay. Thanks, Bill. It was the early 90s, right? And you know, it's interesting. Part of what I've observed is how quickly there is institutional racism in Florida everywhere. And I'll tell you exactly where it was. I don't want to say the name of the rental company, but I'm an Emerald member. And when I landed, I went to the counter, and there was this very nice Southern woman saying, "What y'all doing here in Florida?" "Well, I'm here. I've got some shows down here. I'm going to be at the Spirit Fest." "Oh, the Spirit Fest, that sounds like a lot of fun. Is that like a praise network?" "I'm a medium." "Oh, well, listen, you just had the best time ever." And she was going to have tea with her shanty mates and, you know, be whatever. And she had decked out fingers and well put together, well groomed, well whatever. But she looked like a failed flight attendant. Oh, and she was really white. Really white. And then I walked out, and I came out to my car, and there were Latino and Black people asking me which car I wanted to go in, and they wanted to make sure, and they were hopping on cars to clean them, going back and forth to make sure that they were ready. And they were doing the labor. They were doing the labor. And, you know, so the first woman in there takes my money. This one gets me the car. Then as I'm leaving, there is the old retired white dude that does the verification. Reverse Oreo much. And listen, this company actually does a pretty good job with their employment, because I will tell you that as a recruiter, and I've mentioned it before, I would actually look for that on people's resumes because it's such a good training ground. I found a lot of really good people that were maybe like an entry-level thing, but they want to get a desk job. That is a great opportunity. But the two people that would handle the money and the insurance and the whatever were 100% the homogenous Florida. And then the other ones were the workers that got the straws out of the seats. And with my background in organizational management, you identify those things quickly, especially if you're actually going to put together something of a plan and DEI and all that other stuff. But, at the end of the day, it comes down to qualifications. And that is one of the things that gets lost in any conversation with DEI. Any good company, now governments and government positions don't necessarily follow this equation, which has its own challenge. But most companies, most corporations, don't give a flying fuck what color you are. Truly. I mean, are you going to do a good job? Which means, are you qualified? Are you committed? Are you smart? The rule of thumb that I always have, and I got into an argument with the CEO, who, by the way, I worked for a Leon Black company, and that motherfucker should burn in hell too. And I knew it. I knew he was involved with Epstein. Anyways, and I remember having a conversation with someone who was high up in the food chain that, just had a conference call with Leon this morning and so much stuff and blah, blah, blah. And came down to rip me a new one. And he said, I've interviewed now 4 people, and one of them flew halfway across the country for this position. And he was Indian. And he was, his parents were actually from Bombay, but now from whatever it changed to. But he was born in the country, 4 years old, whatever. His father was actually a nuclear scientist of some level, and his mother was an engineer at GE. Like, these were people that, whatever. So he flies halfway across the country, comes in, slams his resume down on my desk, and is like, do you like working here? Not particularly. I think you're a douche. But anyways, I recovered from that. And he said, I think you need to look around here and see who works here to get what we're looking for. And I said, you're looking for a polymer engineer with a master's and a PhD, which traditionally go together. You're looking for the minimum of 3 patents to their name and in a non-compete. Mumbai, thank you. And then he's like, yeah. And then I said, I took the exact same resume about a week. I was frustrated. I couldn't find anybody. I mean, I found people, but so I took one and I did a little copy and paste magic. So to his surprise, he ended up meeting, Dave Smith, generic name. And Dave is from a good family, born and raised in Chicago, which can't wait to get there. And then looking forward to coming in, and he was again the wrong tone because I hadn't looked around the office. And by the way, this guy was actually amazing. So I set up the interview. This is before video interviewing, like right before. And he had the phone call with him. And then he literally flat out said, he's like, I can't tell if they're not. And I'm like, what does that matter? Oh, and by the way, the change that I made around his name was I used his middle name. So it wasn't Abdul. So that was a fun conversation. So, hey, fun fact, my middle name is Brandon. What's yours? Okay. Why is he calling me my middle name? Anyways. Came in for the interview. He walked in and he says, "You're so fucking done." I said, "Okay." "We're not renewing you. I know we have a signed contract, but your boss already knows it." Fair enough. "Can I stop looking for this now, or do you want me to still continuously check it?" "I don't give a shit what you do. Matter of fact, I don't care if you ever come in again." I go, "Well, you're still going to pay me out for this." He goes, "Fine, sit at home. I don't want to see you." "Okay." So I'm released from my contract, but you're going to pay it out? I have like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then the following morning, I got 5 candidates interviews at their competitor, and they hired all 4 of them. There is an embedded racism in this country that we have got to address. Like, hands down, address. And it is pervasive. It is. Oh, and by the way, I cashed in. This microphone was paid by my deception and his latent racism. So there is without, and by the way, never piss off a recruiter. A recruiter will screw you over 6 ways to Sunday. Oh, and then after, by the way, 11:11 on the East Coast. Love you, heart taps. And then for some of you, it's what, 12:38. I don't know what time zone you're in, Sabrina. I can't. Okay. But I think we have to start to address that. I really do. I think that a lot of this underswell started because we had a black president. I think some of this and let me help define it. I don't think it's about race. I think it's about what divides people. And it's what we can divide people on that we're getting manipulated left and freaking right. Right? By the way, everybody 11:11 in the comments. It's kind of fun. But I think that there's value in standing up to this stuff. Like, we have to hit core issues. This is my point. We have to hit core issues. By the way, I did a card spread on Nancy Guthrie. I'm going to show it to you here in a second. And it has always been there. So how do we solve it? Generationally, we were doing pretty good. I mean, the last 10 years have been a pretty bombastic reversal. Wouldn't you agree? Well, why are they being so bombastic about it? Because they know they've lost grip. They're losing out on who they are. It's a thing, guys. 100% a thing. So you know what you do? Every single time you see somebody marginalized, it's your job to stand up for them. Now, I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way. That's different. What I'm saying is that become a witness to what's wrong and then figure out how to fight it. It's that simple. Do you want to hear the worst part about the whole racism thing of, first of all, did Ricky Martin not look, I'm telling you, I had to have a hard look in the mirror after I saw Ricky Martin and how I felt. I don't know what that was. Damn, that man is together. Holy shit. Bam. Upside, inside out, living a Vita. By the way, I didn't have to draw up the song. It just automatically played in my head. How about that one? Anyways, back to me. So it's up to us to root this out. This is how we win, guys. We keep talking about like this dramatic thing. The ironic thing about the racism against the halftime show in Latin America, when you go to check the box, if you are Latino, You check the box white Caucasian. Stupid bastards. He is effing hot. Gay guys either hard bodies, go Ricky. Well, then I guess I'm your only hope. I'll take one for the team, ladies. I listen. I'm just saying. It was a long talk in the mirror. Just saying. But the ironic thing is that the people that they were trying to discriminate against are white on the selection committee. Very good comment there. Yeah, and Magical Mermaid, there is a whole list of, and by the way, yeah, before Friends, it was kind of whatever. Yeah, they whitewashed it, literally whitewashed it. One of the other things about not living single, but rather the Mad TV it was In Living Color. In Living Color in 1990 had the halftime show. It was a 15-minute episode, and it's awful. No, I mean Jim Carrey at his peak, not really. Like I think they had a Fireman Ed thing in there, or the fireman character, and that was about it. But it was awful. And then the NFL said, "Yeah, we're going to do our own entertainment," and they got New Kids on the Block the next year. And then when they realized that young girls were now watching football, they went, "That's a market we haven't gotten before." Right? Then the following year, they got some Michael Jackson guy, which, by the way, watch that documentary. That's pretty awesome. I'd put Bad Bunny in the top 5 of this. Honestly, nothing will knock out Prince, though. And if you could listen to the NFL halftime show documentary, and I think they talk about up to about 2017, 18. It was completely planned, the wardrobe malfunction. They were trying to be saucy about it. And the NFL's like, why did you do that? Like, why? Like, you show boobs and ass so then you get more viewers. We already got them. Right? Whoa. So 2 things. One, when Michael Jackson came up out of the floor and he stood there and his cue was to take his glasses off. Everything's choreographed. Oh my gosh. Lynn, you know this story. You know this story because you know people that were involved. Anyways, and his cue was when he took off his glasses. And he held them there. Yeah, I know. I love that story, by the way. She's so kick-ass. Anyways, and he held it for like 35 seconds, and he's like, we only have 15 minutes. Right? Incredible, right? And then when he pulled off his glasses and everything hit go, and by the way, there's choreography. Yes, there's tracks. Yes, there's whatever. Is it 100% live? No. So it really comes down to the performance. Now, Prince, as he's walking out there, he's like, shit, this is pouring rain. This is awful. This is not good. He's got slick boots on. He's got 2 dancers that are going to shimmy and shake the night away. And he's like, somebody's going to fall. This is going to look like a disaster. Right? And then the producer said to him, so what do you want to do? Do you want to do a shortened program? Do you want to do whatever? Do you want to take out some things? You just want to kind of like sit in place? Do you want to, we can angle this. We can make an audible right now. And Prince just leaned in and said, could you make it rain harder? Fucking balls. And your hit song is Purple Rain, and it's pouring like a mofo. Yeah, I will talk about Prince and Michael Jackson. And by the way, have you heard the news about Michael Jackson literally diverting kids that were supposed to go to the Epstein Island. And then all of that shit came out to him. Listen, I would love nothing more than Michael Jackson to be exonerated, and it kind of looks like it's happening. You have Macaulay Culkin that basically said, I was on my way to Epstein Island, and he said, why don't you come to the ranch instead? I've got an amusement park. And by the way, was he inappropriate a little bit? Possibly. But I don't know that Michael Jackson was an adult being inappropriate. I think he was a hurt child being a kid. And again, should a grown adult act like that sometimes? No. Yeah, look up Macaulay Culkin and the Epstein files. And I know another person that knew him behind the scenes. She's a chef. And she had worked at the Neverland Ranch when she first, she's like, I was like a line cook. And I made this shrimp scampi that the guy's just like, this is amazing. Will you come to my house and make this? And she ended up going to wherever Neverland Ranch was. And she's like cooking. She's like, what is this place? Like, she didn't know. And she made like 3 or 4 dishes, but it was her interview and she loved it. I met her last summer. You know, remember when I went to Phoenix when it was 119? I met her actually through that group that's out there. But anyways, there's value everywhere. Yeah, and again, we have to be really cautious. Yeah, and again, I'm also going to point at people like Chester Benefield. I'm going to point to people, you know, and again, when you rise up through the ranks and you hear from other people and you hear stories through people, Chris Cornell is another one. And again, I'm not saying that their death was the result of having knowledge. Chester was a temperate soul. Chris, jury's out. But these musicians, I mean, when you run it, it's amazing the number of people that you run into, and you hang out and you get connected with and whatever, right? Yeah, Lisa Marie was I mean, of course, you have to understand what Epstein's game was. It was influence. So if it wasn't, I can get to this person and manipulate them, it's, why don't you come to the island? Lisa Marie Presley will be there. So he would either use people as pawns for that, right? You know, that's why you're going to see people on that list. By the way, Bill Clinton is guilty as fuck. That dude has no scruples whatsoever. If you think that some of the musicians that were named on there, one of my favorite things, if you don't follow Steve Hofstetter, get on it. He absolutely, do I think Anthony Bourdain was the same as Chester? Maybe. Yeah, Lisa Marie's album was friggin' phenomenal. She had class act musicians on there. Was Chester the same as Anthony Bourdain? I think Anthony Bourdain was, I think it was a legit to the story, because he was very lovelorn to his situation. He had this soul flame, twin flame relationship that was just, he was his worst enemy. But as a human, that's what makes him awesome. Like, listen, if you pulled back the layers of every person that you think is cool, they got some shit. Maybe this is a confessional. It's just the way it goes. Well, understanding the dynamic that you have to kind of be a little eccentric and a little out there and a little whatever, there's a little instability. That's actually been something that I'm like, I can't be too nuts. Like, I can't be too whatever, right? You know, that's why I ask myself, am I crazy? You know why I ask myself, am I crazy? So I know I'm not. And then I think Anthony Bourdain might have seen those things, but that's not the reason why he had his demise. I think it was close to that. So back on Nancy Guthrie. Yeah, and listen, as somebody that has learned the fine art of cooking later in life, and by the way, I am really exploring things that are good for my body, like in a good way. And 2 of the retreats that I'm going to be doing are going to be food-based. One of them is going to be a sound healing, and we're going to have a chef come in and kind of do some cool stuff with that. Feed our body and our mind and our auric. We're going to clean up our auric field. I am going to be highly recommending anyone that has been through bereavement in the last 3 years, or is in the bereavement cycle somewhere in between, and you just want to kind of get yourself to a position. I would 100% encourage it. It's going to be a 1 day. And then I have another one where I'm about to announce a Reiki class. By the way, if you're online, I'm going to have an online option as well, but you're going to be all part of the cohort. This is a unique way to present it. So if you're local, either here or out in the Johnstown area, you're going to have a location to work with. And then on the flip side of that, if you're online, great. And then with this retreat, it will be a come together to work on your master teacher as well. What was I talking about? Famous people? That wasn't it. Healing. I want to talk about the Nancy Guthrie thing. By the way, the spot of the, have you bought Funny You Should Say That yet? Oh, and I am in the final throes. I have 4 more chapters to read. I am getting out this audiobook if it kills me. Even if I'm sitting here going, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh. If you have read the book, you will remember the Little Red Riding Hood story where I found the lost girl in the woods who was shape-shifting through the trees. I know, hard to believe, right? Mm-hmm. This retreat will be at that center where I found her. They have since developed it into, it used to be an herbalist community, it still is, but now it's a full-on retreat center, and I am going to support them in every way, shape, or form. So I'm going to do a sound healing, I'm going to do a Reiki, right? How'd you like that one? Have a little background music. Apparently, when I say this, things like that to Sabrina, they don't like me. They're just like, I cut you off. I'm wrapping up here too. So here we go. In regards to Nancy Guthrie, Soul Tree. This is of the earth, which is why I like the petrichorial. Then I get the soul love. Then I got the insight. If you're keeping track at home, it was 21 cycles, 33 soul love connection, and 13 insight. With the eclipse, there are 4 eclipses. And by the way, if you're in the weekly B tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the 4 eclipses that are coming up. There are 2 solar, 2 lunar, happens every cycle. We're going to talk about that cycle, and we're going to talk about what to do with this. So make sure you have your chart and know your rising. The rising is going to matter tomorrow. Second, class tomorrow night for intuitive development. We are going to actually have a special guest She has written a wonderful book about bereavement and her son and all the signs from her loved ones. Oh, if you're not involved yet, you still can. Go to the website, send me a message. I am actually going to be recording these sound healing events. It's time for me to get back to music in whatever shape or form it is. Can I rock out hard? I don't know anymore. But I have feeling in my hands again for the first time in like 2 years. And Phoenix, for you. I love this for you. Soul writing. Sabrina, write down your intentions, where you want to go and how to be. Put the energy towards it, and we'll get the Reiki team on it. Hope you guys get where I'm going. Love you guys to death. I really do. You're the best. Yeah. Brandon After Dark. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hard taps to you guys. We're going to win this. It's just a long battle, okay? And if you are a Cancer rising, this eclipse is happening in your 7th house. So take a look at your friends. See how much you can do on your own. That's a blessing. All right, guys. Hard taps. Keep going. Love to you guys. See you soon. So sorry for all the technical issues, but that